Hi, Amy. What's up?
Fighting for my life with the fate of the world in the balance. You know, the usual.
Hey! Who's that?
You'll tell me what I want to know, little girl.
I don't think so.
What you think is exactly what this device will reveal.
Amy? Who are you?
You can call me Lyric or Master.
It really feels like no one has paid much attention to Sonic Boom's Shattered Crystal. The focus was always on Rise of Lyric in the lead up to their dual release. That's understandable since a majority of gamers are more inclined to play the console version of games that come out on both the Wii U and 3DS. But ever since I was able to play Shattered Crystal, I had a gut feeling that it was the one to keep an eye on. The 3DS version of Sonic Boom is supposed to take place between Rise of Lyric and the new TV show. But I have no idea how that works as the game begins with Lyric free, yet Sonic has no clue who the villain is. At any rate, Lyric kidnaps Amy after he discovers that she's able to read the Ancients' language. With her, he hopes to find the location of a crystal that will grant unimaginable power. Sonic begins to gather all of his friends as they set out across several islands in order to stop Lyric and save Amy. Shattered Crystal has an even simpler plot than Rise of Lyric, with the story being told through the occasional cutscene and many smaller exchanges. These exchanges are mainly there to move the plot from point to point and tell jokes, but they're hardly offensive. However, you cannot skip these scenes or even fast forward through them at all, so if you have no interest in the plot or just want to get on with the game, you're out of luck. But I never really minded it. In many ways, the tone of the game felt a lot closer to the one in the television show. Maybe it's just the presence of the new character Styx, but the game carried an irreverent tone the whole way through. That includes the ending sequence, which is incredibly amusing. And there's even a little bit of backstory since the game comes with an exclusive comic done by the Sonic team at Archie Comics that fleshes out what comes before Amy's kidnapping. On the whole, it's simple, yet it worked for me. The gameplay is where Shattered Crystal stands out though. There are 3 types of stages that can be played, with the main focus being the adventure stages. In these, you switch between Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Styx. While they all have their own unique movesets, they also share the ability to dash, double jump, homing attack enemies and objects, and use the Enter Beam to cross gaps and get rid of enemy shields. It does feel odd to have all the characters use the homing attack at first, but it actually helps with switching between them. As the game progressed, I felt like all of their unique abilities were natural extensions of Sonic's basic moves. And those abilities are necessary in order to explore everything in an adventure stage. Sonic can air dash through blocks, Tails can use Gust of Wind to glide, Knuckles can dig through specific patches of dirt, and Styx can use her boomerang to hit far-off switches. When Shattered Crystal begins, the early adventure stages feel like a Metroidvania-styled game. You don't have access to everyone yet, so not everything can be explored, encouraging players to come back. However, after the first hour of gameplay, I had access to everyone. With every adventure stage after that point, I could easily collect everything in one go if I desired. It was honestly strange to see the Metroidvania gameplay drop so quickly, but it also made gathering the collectible blueprint pieces and crystal shards that much simpler. The other 2 stage types can only be played as Sonic and have a much greater focus on speed. Tunnel stages work a lot like special stages from classic Sonic games. In these, Sonic is constantly running forward and can shift between different lanes that form a circle. However, he cannot jump. The only thing he can do is move left or right, dash to go even faster, or use the Enter Beam to fly along zip lines at certain times. It's simple, but the difficulty of each of these stages does ramp up, especially if you attempt to beat the time attack and collect every ring. Later levels also include more hazards, which can make beating these stages all the more tricky since there are no checkpoints. If you die, you start again from the beginning. Fortunately, these levels are short, so I never got frustrated. Finally, there are the racing stages. In these, you are in a race against another character and must beat them to the finish line. Obstacles are constantly in the way, and you lack the ability to interact with your rival, so it's more about you versus the stage than anything else. I really enjoyed the few times these stages appeared. The focus on speed and platforming was pure fun. It's just a shame there weren't more. But that's the best thing I can say about Shattered Crystal's gameplay. It feels like a Sonic game with a greater emphasis on exploration. Characters can all move fast, but Sonic is clearly the fastest. The game isn't without its faults though. The biggest is that it actually requires exploration. Levels are often locked away until enough emblems are earned. Most can be collected by simply completing a level no matter the type, but these alone are not enough. Instead, you have to find all of the blueprints and all of the crystal shards in the adventure stages to earn 2 more emblems. This means that if a player would just prefer to speed through levels as quick as they can without collecting everything, they can't. A total of 33 emblems can be collected before the final level. 30 are required to access it. That is way too much. I understand why this was done though. The game is quite short. Collecting every emblem and beating the game only took 5 hours. Thankfully, this padding isn't too bad since the blueprint upgrades you collect are incredibly useful. Some show where more blueprint pieces and crystal shards are, while others allow you to destroy an enemy when yanking off their shield, or even the ability to dash through enemies, immediately destroying them. By the end, you can revisit the adventure stages and just speed through them with ease. While I wouldn't call Sonic Boom Shattered Crystal the best looking 3DS game, its graphics are quite pleasing. The stage variety is about what you'd expect with a beach level, a volcano level, a factory level, and a sky level. It's nothing mind-blowing, but the basic gameplay is so fun and the level design complements it well enough that I enjoyed it. The music is also pretty good. There's nothing especially memorable, but the music did make it feel like I was at the beach or in a forest. Sonic Boom on the 3DS is very close to what I was hoping it would be. It's a Sonic game that allows players to explore as well as experience a decent amount of speed. The game does suffer for being very short and forcing the players to busy themselves with padding just to beat the game, but that didn't mar the experience much for me. I liked Shattered Crystal, and I encourage anyone who enjoyed the demo to give the full game a shot. You might be pleasantly surprised. Thanks for watching, and make sure to stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Sonic and other things gaming.